There is a kind of revenge that most people never understand. It is not loud, it is not violent, it does not destroy your enemy in a moment of fury. This revenge takes decades. It is silent, strategic, and devastating in its completeness. The Torah does not teach you to strike back with your fists, it teaches you to strike back with your bloodline. While your adversary celebrates a temporary victory, while they mock you, diminish you, try to erase your name from memory, you are doing something they cannot comprehend. You are building, you are planting seeds in soil they will never own. You are teaching your children a code of prosperity, discipline, and transcendence that will outlive every insult, every injustice, every attempt to break you. This is not about bitterness, this is not about holding grudges. This is about understanding that the greatest form of justice is generational success. The Torah knew this 3,000 years ago. The Jewish people have lived this truth through exile, persecution, and erasure. And yet they did not just survive, they thrived, generation after generation. Why? Because they understood something most people refuse to believe. Your revenge is not in what you take from your enemy. Your revenge is in what you build for your children. Your enemy wins when you react. Your enemy loses when you transcend. And transcendence does not happen in one lifetime, it happens across lifetimes. Most people are taught to respond to offense with immediate retaliation. Someone wrongs you, you wrong them back. Someone steals from you, you steal from them. Someone humiliates you, you humiliate them. This is the cycle of the reactive mind. It is the cycle of poverty, not just financial poverty, but spiritual poverty, generational poverty. Because reactive people do not build legacies, they build feuds, and feuds consume everything. The Torah teaches you to think differently. It teaches you that your mind is a field, and every thought you plant will grow into a harvest. If you plant revenge in the form of hatred, you will harvest destruction. If you plant revenge in the form of excellence, discipline, and wisdom, passed down to your children, you will harvest dynasty. The choice is not between revenge and forgiveness. The choice is between reactive revenge and strategic revenge. And strategic revenge is generational prosperity. Here is the truth that will change everything. Every injustice you face is a test of whether you will respond like everyone else or whether you will respond like the Torah. Everyone else reacts, the Torah builds. Everyone else wants their enemy to suffer today. The Torah wants their enemy to watch, helpless, as your descendants inherit the earth. This is not a video about getting rich. This is not a video about superficial success. This is a video about understanding the mental code that separates people who rise from people who repeat. It is about understanding that the Torah is not a book of religion. It is a book of mental warfare. It is a manual for how to think in a way that bends reality itself toward your bloodline. You are about to learn the exact mindset that has allowed the Jewish people to go from slavery in Egypt to influencing every major empire in history. You are about to learn why they were exiled, scattered, stripped of land and power, and yet never disappeared. You are about to learn the revenge the Torah teaches, and if you apply it, your great-grandchildren will live in a world your enemies cannot even imagine. But you must understand this. What you are about to hear will challenge everything you believe about justice, success, and revenge. It will challenge your need for immediate satisfaction. It will challenge your attachment to being right. It will challenge your belief that success is about you. Because it is not about you, it is about the chain. And if you break the chain, you lose everything. Before we continue, I need you to do something. If this message resonates with you, if you feel that there is wisdom here worth protecting, subscribe to this channel. And in the comments, tell me what country you are watching from. I want to know where this ancient wisdom is reaching. Because this is not just content, this is a movement, and you are part of it. Most people believe that success is about skills. They believe that if they learn the right strategies, read the right books, follow the right steps, they will prosper. And so they chase tactics, they chase methods, they chase secrets, but they never prosper. Because prosperity is not about what you do. Prosperity is about how you think, and most people think in ways that guarantee failure. The first illusion is this. You believe that your mind is neutral. You believe that your thoughts are just thoughts, that they come and go, that they do not shape reality. This is the greatest lie you have ever been told. The Talmud teaches that thought precedes action, and action precedes destiny. But it goes deeper. The Kabbalistic teaching of creation itself is that the universe began with thought. Ein Sof, the infinite, contracted its light to create space for reality. Thought created reality. Your mind is not passive. Your mind is the seed of everything that will grow in your life. If you plant chaos, you will harvest chaos. If you plant resentment, you will harvest bitterness. If you plant entitlement, you will harvest emptiness. And if you plant discipline, wisdom, and long-term vision, you will harvest dynasty. But most people do not plant. They react, and reactive people never prosper. The second illusion is this. You believe that your circumstances define you. You believe that because you were born into poverty, you will stay in poverty. You believe that because you were wronged, you are a victim. You believe that because the world is unfair, you have no power. This is not reality. This is a story you tell yourself to avoid responsibility. The Torah does not teach victimhood. It teaches sovereignty. It teaches that you are not a product of your circumstances. You are a product of your choices, and your choices are a product of your mind. The Jewish people were enslaved for 400 years. 400 years. Most people cannot endure 4 days of discomfort without complaining, but they endured, and when they were freed, they did not celebrate by becoming comfortable. They wandered the desert for 40 years to rebuild their minds. Because freedom is not a location. Freedom is a mentality, and if you do not transform your mind, you will carry your chains wherever you go. The third illusion is this. You believe that prosperity is about taking. You believe that success means accumulating wealth, power, status, possessions, and so you chase, you compete, you envy. You resent those who have more. But prosperity is not about taking. Prosperity is about creating. It is about planting seeds in soil that will feed your children and your children's children. The Torah uses the metaphor of the field constantly. Why? Because a field does not lie. A field does not respond to wishes. A field responds to process. You plant, you water, you wait, you harvest. This is the law of reality, and it is the law of prosperity. But most people do not plant. They complain that the soil is bad. They complain that others have better fields. They complain that life is unfair. And while they complain, they starve. Meanwhile, the wise plant in silence. They do not argue with the field. They do not demand that the field change. They understand the field, and they work with it. This is the mentality of generational wealth. This is the mentality the Torah teaches. The fourth illusion is this. You believe that you have time. You believe that you can change later, that you can start building tomorrow, that you can delay discipline and still succeed. This is a trap. Time is the one resource you cannot recover. The Torah teaches that every generation is a link in a chain. If you do not forge your link, the chain breaks, and when the chain breaks, everything your ancestors built disappears. You do not just fail yourself. You fail your children. You fail your bloodline. Most people live as if they are the end of the story. They consume, they indulge, they prioritize comfort over legacy. And then they wonder why their children struggle. They wonder why their family never rises. The answer is simple. They thought like individuals, not like ancestors. They thought about today, not about forever. And the Torah teaches that this is spiritual poverty. Because real prosperity is not measured in your lifetime. It is measured in your legacy. The foundation of all Jewish wisdom is this. You have free will. You are not a victim of fate. You are not controlled by the stars, by luck, by circumstance, or by other people. You are a sovereign being created in the image of the Creator. And just as the Creator creates reality through thought and word, so do you. This is not mysticism. This is the structure of existence. The Torah teaches that Hashem created the world with 10 utterances. Thought became word. Word became reality. This is the pattern. And you created in that image carry that same power. Your thoughts shape your words shape your actions shape your destiny. This is cause and effect. This is the law of reality, and it is immutable. But here is what most people miss. Free will is not just the ability to choose. Free will is the responsibility to choose. The Talmud teaches that everything is in the hands of heaven except the fear of heaven, meaning the external world operates according to divine order. But your internal world, your thoughts, your beliefs, your discipline, your character, this is your domain. This is where you have total sovereignty. And this is where most people surrender. They surrender their minds to external noise. They surrender their focus to distractions. They surrender their vision to fear. And then they wonder why they are powerless. You are not powerless. You have surrendered your power. And the moment you reclaim your mind, you reclaim your destiny. The second foundation is this: there are spiritual laws that govern reality. Just as there are physical laws, gravity, thermodynamics, motion, there are spiritual laws that determine success and failure. The Torah calls these laws statutes. They are not suggestions. They are not moral preferences. They are laws. And if you violate them, you suffer, not because Hashem punishes you, but because reality punishes you. The law punishes you. One of the most important laws is this: you reap what you sow. This is not karma, this is structure. If you plant wheat, you get wheat. If you plant thorns, you get thorns. You cannot plant thorns and demand wheat. You cannot live in chaos and demand order. You cannot think in scarcity and demand abundance. The harvest matches the seed, always. The third foundation is this: Hashem does not multiply your desires. Hashem multiplies your process. Most people pray for wealth, they pray for success, they pray for miracles, and nothing happens. Why? Because they are praying for results without planting process. The Torah teaches that blessing comes through action aligned with divine order. You do not get blessed for wanting, you get blessed for doing, and not just any doing. Doing that aligns with the structure of reality. This is why the Jewish people prosper. Not because they are lucky, not because they are chosen in a way that exempts them from effort, but because they follow process. They follow discipline, they follow long-term vision. They plant seeds their grandchildren will harvest, and Hashem multiplies process, not wishes. Process. The fourth foundation is this: your mind is the battleground. The Talmud teaches that the evil inclination, the Yetzer Hara, attacks the mind first. It does not attack your bank account. It does not attack your circumstances. It attacks your thoughts. It plants doubt, it plants fear, it plants entitlement, it plants reactive thinking. And if you allow these thoughts to take root, they will destroy you, not in a day, but over time, slowly, subtly, until you wake up one day and realize you have built nothing. The righteous inclination, the Yetzer Hatov, also speaks to the mind. It speaks of discipline. It speaks of vision. It speaks of sacrifice for future generations. But its voice is quieter. And most people do not listen. They listen to the loud voice, the voice that demands immediate gratification, the voice that justifies comfort, the voice that says you deserve rest, you deserve pleasure, you deserve to take what is yours. And that voice destroys generations. The Torah teaches you to quiet the loud voice and listen to the quiet voice, because the quiet voice is the voice of eternity, and eternity is where your revenge lives. His name was David. He was 37 years old. He lived in a small apartment in Brooklyn with his wife and 2 children. He worked 60 hours a week at a job that paid barely enough to cover rent and food. Every month was a struggle. Every bill was a crisis. And every time he looked at his children, he felt shame, not because he did not love them, but because he knew he was failing them. David's father had been the same. His grandfather had been the same. 3 generations of men who worked hard, sacrificed everything, and died with nothing. David did not want to be the 4th, but he did not know how to change. He did not know what he was doing wrong. He thought the problem was money. He thought the problem was opportunity. He thought the problem was the world. He did not realize the problem was his mind. One evening, David was walking home from work. He was exhausted. He was angry. He had just been passed over for a promotion that went to someone younger, someone with less experience, someone who, in David's mind, did not deserve it. And as he walked, he replayed the injustice in his mind, over and over. He imagined what he should have said. He imagined confronting his boss. He imagined quitting. He imagined revenge. And then he passed a small synagogue. The door was open. Inside, he could hear someone speaking. He did not know why, but he stopped. He stepped inside. An older man, maybe 70, was teaching a small group. David sat in the back. He did not understand most of what was being said, but one phrase caught him. Your enemy wants you to react. Hashem wants you to build. David stayed after the lesson. He approached the old man, whose name was Rabbi Goldstein, and he asked, "What does that mean? Your enemy wants you to react." Rabbi Goldstein looked at him. "Tell me, what are you angry about?" David told him. The promotion, the injustice, the years of struggle, the feeling of being trapped. And as he spoke, he realized he was not just talking about the promotion, he was talking about his entire life. Rabbi Goldstein listened, and when David finished, the rabbi said, "You have been reacting your entire life. Every time something goes wrong, you react, you complain, you justify, you blame, and every time you react, you give away your power. Do you want to know why you are stuck? Because you think like a reactor, and reactors never prosper." David felt something shift. He asked, "Then what do I do?" Rabbi Goldstein smiled. "You stop trying to win today. You start trying to win for your children. You stop thinking about justice in this moment. You start thinking about justice across generations. This is the revenge the Torah teaches. You do not destroy your enemy. You outlast them. And you outlast them by building something they cannot touch." David began meeting with Rabbi Goldstein every week, and slowly the rabbi taught him a different way of thinking. He taught him that his mind was a field, that every thought was a seed, that he had been planting weeds his entire life: resentment, entitlement, short-term thinking. And now he needed to plant differently. The first lesson was discipline. Rabbi Goldstein told him, "You say you work 60 hours a week, but how many of those hours are focused? How many are wasted in distraction, in resentment, in mental noise? You are not lacking time, you are lacking focus." David began waking up at 5 in the morning. Before work, before his children woke, he spent 1 hour learning. He studied business, he studied finance, he studied Torah, not for religion but for wisdom. He studied how the Jewish people thought about money, about growth, about legacy, and he realized he had been thinking wrong his entire life. The second lesson was delayed gratification. Rabbi Goldstein told him, "You want comfort now, you want rest now, you want reward now. But the Torah teaches that the righteous plant trees they will never sit under. Your father planted nothing, your grandfather planted nothing. This is why you have nothing. If you want your children to have shade, you must plant now, and you will not sit in that shade, but they will." David began saving, not much, $10 a week, then 20, then 50. He cut out every unnecessary expense. He stopped eating out. He stopped buying things to feel better. He stopped living for today. And at first it hurt. It felt like punishment. But Rabbi Goldstein reminded him, "This is not punishment. This is planting, and every seed you plant will multiply." The third lesson was vision. Rabbi Goldstein asked him, "What do you want your grandchildren to say about you?" David had never thought about it, and the rabbi said, "This is the problem. You are living without vision, you are reacting to today without thinking about tomorrow. The Torah teaches that a person without vision will perish, not physically, but spiritually, generationally. You must see the future you are building, or you will never build it." David began to see his life differently. He was not just working a job, he was forging a link in a chain. He was not just saving money, he was building a foundation his children would stand on. He was not just studying, he was planting seeds of wisdom his grandchildren would harvest. Years passed. David did not get rich quickly. He did not have a miracle. But slowly, steadily, things changed. He started a small business on the side. He failed twice, but he learned. He adjusted, he persisted, and eventually it grew. Not into an empire, but into something stable. Something that could support his family. Something that could be passed down. His children watched. They saw their father wake up early. They saw him study, they saw him save, they saw him delay gratification. They saw him think long-term, and they absorbed it. Not through lectures, but through observation. Because children do not learn from what you say. They learn from what you do. David's son, years later, would start his own business, David's daughter would become a doctor, and both would teach their children the same principles: discipline, vision, long-term thinking. The revenge the Torah teaches: David's enemy, the man who got the promotion, eventually lost it. He spent his money as fast as he earned it. He lived for comfort. He taught his children nothing. And when he died, he left nothing. His name was forgotten in one generation, but David's name lived on. Because David did not react, David built. And the Torah teaches that those who build inherit the earth. The principle at the heart of this message is simple but profound. The greatest revenge is not destruction. The greatest revenge is generational prosperity. The Torah does not teach you to strike your enemy down. It teaches you to rise so high that they cannot reach you, not in one lifetime, but across lifetimes. Why does this work? Because reality is not built on moments. Reality is built on momentum. One good decision does not change your life. 100 good decisions compounded over decades change your bloodline. One bad decision does not destroy you. 100 bad decisions repeated across generations erase your name from history. Most people think revenge is about evening the score. Someone hurts you, you hurt them back. Someone takes from you, you take from them. This is the logic of the reactive mind. And the reactive mind is the mind of poverty. Why? Because revenge consumes energy. It consumes focus. It consumes years. And while you are focused on your enemy, you are not building. While you are plotting their downfall, you are neglecting your rise. And in the end, you both lose. The Torah teaches you to think differently. It teaches you that your enemy is not the person who wronged you. Your enemy is short-term thinking. Your enemy is reactive behavior. Your enemy is the voice in your head that says, "Make them pay now," because that voice will destroy you faster than any external enemy ever could. The Torah teaches that justice is not immediate. Justice is generational. The wicked may prosper today. They may mock you. They may take what is yours. But the Torah promises that their prosperity is temporary. Why? Because prosperity built on injustice has no foundation. It collapses. Maybe not today, maybe not in 10 years, but it collapses. And when it does, there is nothing left. But prosperity built on discipline, on wisdom, on process, on long-term vision, this prosperity compounds. It multiplies. It extends beyond your lifetime. Your children inherit it. Your grandchildren expand it. Your great-grandchildren live in a world your enemy cannot imagine. This is the revenge the Torah teaches. Why do most people ignore this? Because it requires patience. It requires humility. It requires the willingness to sacrifice today for tomorrow. And most people are not willing. They want satisfaction now. They want reward now. They want their enemy to suffer now. And so they react. And in reacting, they lose. The Torah teaches that the righteous think in generations. The wicked think in moments. The righteous plant trees. The wicked cut them down for firewood. The righteous build dynasties. The wicked build monuments to themselves that crumble the moment they die. The connection between mind, habit, and reality is this. Your mind determines your habits. Your habits determine your actions. Your actions determine your results, and your results, compounded over time, determine your legacy. If your mind is reactive, your habits will be reactive. If your habits are reactive, your actions will be chaotic. If your actions are chaotic, your results will be unstable. And if your results are unstable, your legacy will be non-existent. But if your mind is disciplined, your habits will be disciplined. If your habits are disciplined, your actions will be consistent. If your actions are consistent, your results will compound. And if your results compound, your legacy will be eternal. This is not theory, this is structure, this is how reality works. And the Torah has been teaching this for 3,000 years. Principle 1. Think in decades, not days. The first mental principle the Torah teaches is long-term vision. The Talmud says that the righteous see the end from the beginning. They do not make decisions based on how they feel today. They make decisions based on where they want to be in 20 years, in 40 years, in 3 generations. Most people fail because they optimize for comfort today. They choose the easy path. They avoid discomfort. They delay hard decisions. And every time they do this, they sacrifice their future. They trade a decade of prosperity for a day of comfort, and they wonder why they never rise. The error most people make is believing that long-term thinking means ignoring the present. They think it means suffering now for some distant reward. But this is not what the Torah teaches. The Torah teaches that long-term thinking is present thinking. It is thinking that honors reality, because reality operates on delayed causation. You plant today, you harvest later. This is not punishment. This is structure. The impact of short-term thinking is generational poverty. When you prioritize comfort today, you teach your children to prioritize comfort. When you avoid discipline today, you teach your children to avoid discipline, and this pattern repeats, generation after generation, until your bloodline is trapped in a cycle of reaction, of consumption, of dependence. But when you think long-term, you break the cycle. You teach your children to delay gratification. You teach them to plant seeds. You teach them that the righteous do not live for today, they live for eternity. And this teaching, passed down, creates dynasty. The practical application is this. Before you make any significant decision, ask yourself, what will my grandchildren say about this choice? If the answer brings shame, do not do it. If the answer brings honor, do it. Even if it is hard, even if it is uncomfortable, even if it costs you today, because the cost today is the investment tomorrow. Principle 2. Guard your mind as you would guard your life. The second principle is mental discipline. The Torah teaches that the mind is the gateway to everything. If your mind is corrupted, your life will be corrupted. If your mind is disciplined, your life will be ordered. Pirkei Avot teaches who is strong, one who conquers their inclination. Not their enemy, their inclination. Because your greatest enemy is not external. Your greatest enemy is the voice in your head that justifies weakness. Most people do not guard their minds. They consume whatever content is in front of them. They listen to whatever voices are loudest. They absorb whatever emotions are around them. And they wonder why they are anxious, distracted, reactive, and powerless. Your mind is not a dump. Your mind is a garden. And if you do not guard what enters, weeds will take over. The error most people make is believing that mental discipline is restrictive. They believe it means cutting out joy, pleasure, spontaneity. But this is not what the Torah teaches. The Torah teaches that discipline creates freedom. When you control your mind, you control your destiny. When you surrender your mind, you surrender your destiny. It is that simple. The impact of an undisciplined mind is chaos. You make impulsive decisions. You react emotionally. You chase short-term pleasure. You avoid discomfort. And over time, this compounds into failure, not because you are incapable, but because you are undisciplined, and capability without discipline is wasted. The practical application is this. Control your inputs. What you read, what you watch, who you listen to, these shape your mind. If you consume chaos, you will think chaotically. If you consume wisdom, you will think wisely. The Torah teaches that you must be deliberate about what enters your mind, not paranoid, not fearful, but deliberate, because every input is a seed, and every seed will grow. Principle 3. Build systems, not monuments. The third principle is process over personality. The Torah teaches that systems outlast individuals. Moses died, but the Torah lived. David died, but the kingdom lived. Why? Because they built systems. They built processes. They built structures that could function without them. And this is the secret of generational wealth. Most people try to build monuments to themselves. They want to be remembered. They want to be celebrated. They want their name to live forever. And so they focus on their image, their reputation, their glory. And when they die, it all disappears. Because monuments crumble, systems endure. The error most people make is believing that success is about them. They believe that their business, their wealth, their achievements are extensions of their personality. And so they build around themselves. And when they are gone, the structure collapses. Because it was never a structure, it was a monument. And monuments are fragile. The impact of monument thinking is generational loss. You build something impressive in your lifetime. But because it is built around you, it dies with you. Your children inherit nothing functional. They inherit a name, Maybe some money, but no process, no system, no way to continue. And within one generation it is gone. But when you build systems, you build legacy. Systems are processes that work independently of you. Systems are principles that your children can follow. Systems are frameworks that can be passed down, refined, and expanded. And the Torah is the ultimate system. It has survived 3,000 years not because of one individual, but because it is a system. And systems transcend time. The practical application is this: stop trying to be indispensable. Start building processes that work without you. Teach your children principles, not just facts. Give them frameworks, not just instructions. Build businesses that can run without you. Build wealth structures that compound without you. Build disciplines that your grandchildren can follow. Because if it depends on you, it will die with you. But if it is a system, it will live forever. There is one principle that separates those who build dynasties from those who build nothing. It is the principle most people reject. It is the principle that requires the most humility, the most patience, the most faith. And it is this: you must be willing to plant trees you will never sit under. This is the hardest principle because it contradicts every instinct of the reactive mind. The reactive mind wants reward now. It wants to see the fruit of its labor. It wants confirmation that the sacrifice was worth it. But the Torah teaches that the greatest rewards are invisible. They happen after you are gone. They happen in the lives of your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. Abraham was promised that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars, but he died before the promise was fulfilled. He never saw the nation. He never saw the kingdom. He never saw the fulfillment, but he believed. And he planted, and because he planted, the promise came true, not in his lifetime, but in the lifetimes of his children, and their children, and their children. This is the principle most people reject because it requires surrender. You must surrender your need for immediate gratification. You must surrender your attachment to being the hero. You must surrender your ego, because if you are planting trees you will never sit under, you are admitting that the story is not about you. The story is about the chain, and you are just one link. The Torah uses the metaphor of the olive tree. The olive tree takes decades to mature. You plant it as a young man. You tend it for years. You water it. You protect it. And you die before it produces fruit. But your children harvest, and their children harvest, and their children harvest for generations. This is the mindset of the righteous. They plant olives. The wicked plant weeds. Weeds grow fast. They provide immediate satisfaction, but they die quickly and they leave nothing. Most people abandon this principle because they do not see results. They sacrifice for a year, for 5 years, for 10 years, and they see no dramatic change. And they give up. They say, "This does not work. I tried. It did not pay off." But they did not try. They dabbled. They planted. But they did not tend. They started, but they did not persist. And the Torah teaches that those who abandon early lose everything. The Talmud says, "The righteous begin with suffering and end with peace. The wicked begin with peace and end with suffering." Why? Because the righteous plant. And planting is uncomfortable. It requires work. It requires patience. It requires faith. But the harvest is eternal. The wicked consume, and consumption is comfortable. It feels good. It feels like success. But it is temporary. And when it ends, there is nothing left. This is the invisible climax of the story. The moment when you realize that your revenge is not about you. Your revenge is about the future. Your revenge is your children living in freedom. Your revenge is your grandchildren never knowing poverty. Your revenge is your great-grandchildren asking, "Who was our ancestor? Who built this foundation?" And the answer being, someone who planted trees they never sat under. This is the revenge the Torah teaches, and it is the hardest, longest, most invisible revenge there is, but it is the only revenge that lasts. You are standing at a crossroads. One path is the path of reaction, the path of immediate satisfaction, the path of comfort, of convenience, of doing what feels good today. This path is wide, this path is crowded, and this path leads nowhere. It leads to a life of struggle, of repetition, of dying with nothing to pass down. And your children walk the same path, and their children, until your name is forgotten. The other path is the path of the Torah, the path of discipline, the path of long-term vision, the path of planting trees you will never sit under. This path is narrow, this path is lonely, and this path leads to eternity. It leads to a life of purpose, of legacy, of building something that outlasts you. And your children inherit, and their children expand, and their children honor your name for generations. The choice is yours, and the choice is now, because every day you delay, every day you choose comfort over discipline, you are choosing the first path. You are choosing to repeat. You are choosing to consume. You are choosing to die with nothing. But if you choose the second path, everything changes. Not today, not tomorrow, but over time. You will begin to see the seeds you planted years ago begin to sprout. You will see your children adopt your discipline. You will see your grandchildren inherit your vision. And you will understand that this was the revenge the Torah taught you. Not destruction, but transcendence. Imagine 20 years from now, your children are adults. They are stable. They are disciplined. They are prosperous. And they tell their children, "Our father taught us this, our mother showed us this, this is the way." And those children teach their children, and the chain continues. And 100 years from now, your great-grandchildren live in a world you built, not with your hands, but with your mind, with your discipline, with your refusal to be like everyone else. This is not fantasy. This is the story of the Jewish people. This is the story of every person who ever thought in generations, and it can be your story. But only if you start now, only if you stop reacting, only if you start planting. May Hashem bless you with the wisdom to think long-term, the strength to delay gratification, and the faith to plant trees you will never sit under. May your children inherit your discipline. May your grandchildren honor your name, and may your legacy be eternal. This is the revenge the Torah teaches, and it is the only revenge worth taking. Before you go, I want to invite you to do something. If this message has changed the way you see revenge, the way you see success, the way you see your responsibility, subscribe to this channel. This is not just content. This is a community of people who refuse to think like everyone else, a community of people who are building legacies, not monuments, a community that understands the revenge the Torah teaches. And I want you to be part of it. Join us, subscribe, comment, share this wisdom, because together we grow, together we build, and together we outlast.